Hey, so we're back again for another daily crypto news with Chris and Scott. I am Chris, aka Vibin, and
My name is Scott. I'm marketing for BigONE here in Canada and the US. I'm excited to be here again to do this daily recap with you. I really have fun talking to Vibin about all this stuff. So let's get started. I'll maybe let Chris pick the first article that he'd like to talk about and we'll discuss.
yeah. So today, the first topic, I'll just go ahead and jump onto crypto news. Let's see what we got here. Um, my first one is actually Bitcoin takes the dip today, and the altcoins start to surge. And then they have on here, Bitcoin's price falling while the Ethereum dominance goes up. They also mentioned something about Cardano, Litecoin, Doge, and XRP. And if we're talking about Litecoin, just a quick shout out to Litecoin. Happy birthday. I think it was their 10th birthday yesterday for Litecoin. So
Nice.
Congratulations, 10 years running. You got anything you want to talk about with that topic, Scott? Or
I think like we kind of quickly hit the topic. Like one of the things that I think caused a little bit of the dip for sure is that gentleman from JP Morgan. But I mean, people shouldn't be surprised when somebody like that says something like that. There's definitely a motive behind what they're doing. So this is going to be a temporary dip. I do really feel that way, and we'll see that quickly change in the next little while. But I love to see the altcoins actually start to rise in that again, which is kind of expected when that kind of stuff happens. So, and I guess my article I was just reading, I guess one of the things the UK is starting to go against certain things, and one of them they were going against a company called I believe it's called No Rare. So Rare. Sorry, so Rare. So it was basically like a gambling platform, and they were just totally against this, and they're actually looking at doing something against it. So, I mean, the one thing I guess everyone should consider is when it comes to gambling, it's so heavily regulated in Canada, the US, the UK. It might be something that most people want to stay away from. My feeling, I don't know how you feel about it, Vibin.
with regulations with gambling, I
Yeah.
mean, they have them in place. They have them in place in the states here. However, they still, have casinos that you could go to and participate in gambling, and they also have kind of some recreational games and convenience stores. So, but I think the regulation is already there for that, and I think, when it comes to gaming and gambling, they're going to have, they're going to try to figure out a regulation. But I still think with regulations, we're probably 1 to 2 years out as far as regulations go.
Yeah, for sure. What's your next pick for an article?
I think it was interesting that as they push more China FUD, they say U.S. is going to take over as the one of the leading countries to mining Bitcoin, and I think there's around 20 to 22% left to be mined of the coins. But I think that was an interesting topic, just to try to maybe encourage some American pressure to buy more Bitcoin. And then that might have caused a little bit of the bears to push down on the price to give them an entry point.
And that's like you mentioned already, the states came out with that ETF or whichever for Bitcoin or confirm one of them. That kind of shows that the states is pushing to allow a lot more to do with Bitcoin.
For sure.
Yeah. And
then
go ahead.
The over here in Dubai, there's been, for the people who don't know, they have a conference coming up the 15th through the 17th. Then it's going to be, I think it's a gaming conference, or no, it's actually a blockchain conference. But I know some of the gaming tokens are out there now, so might want to do a little bit of research into some of those projects.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I think you're going to see a lot of those projects when involving Dubai. You'll see potential money flowing in there as well from there. Another one I read was about Switzerland actually looking to constitutionalize Bitcoin. So that would be another country that would be looking at Bitcoin, which would be another great move towards making things start to happen. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's very good, man.
Yeah, I do too. Like the more countries that actually start using Bitcoin, the better off we are. And we're starting to see it all the time. And I don't think there's any way that this can be stopped now. It's just one of those things that now it's about, how would I say, like, it's about using it properly and implementing it properly. So you're one of the first countries that actually is willing to do it, because the first countries that are in this are going to be the ones that do the best, I have a feeling.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think, as the more, it's just all about adoption, right? So the more people we can get to adopt it, and countries taking it on as a store of value, it's just something else that could be used like commodities were back in, the earlier days, and the way they used to use those as the back the dollar. So I think with the digital currency coming out in the next, 5 years, I think we'll see a lot more. We'll see a lot more countries pick up on it as well.
That makes sense. What's another great article?
I seen crypto is scoring big with the European football magazine. Cointelegraph says so they're gonna let's see, the beautiful game, soccer or football, as those in the old world tend to call it. It's a super sport has been by many, and right now they have 4 billion people back in the sport. And they were talking about 25 euros in 2020 from Deloitte got poured into it. So they're just talking about, how the NFT platform is going to be integrating with the football right now. And that's going to be pretty big with magazines, because magazines are going to be able to offer NFTs.
Well, I think that's huge. Like when it comes to trading cards and stuff, NFTs are going to be amazing, especially those one-offs. I just have a feeling, or I hope in the end, that these card companies actually make a make a physical product to go along with the NFT or an experience. I think we've discussed that before, because I think that's where really we're going to see that added value when it comes to NFTs and sports people, but definitely soccer or football, as like you mentioned, is huge around the world. So to be able to impact that market the way they are right now, or starting to, we're going to see a huge upswing, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
The other thing I read today, Binance Coin is eyeing 550, and they say that the patterns all look like it's going to shoot towards 560, which I know, like just watching the chat with Andy, he was messaging on Twitter about where do you think the price of the Binance is going to be. What are your thoughts on that? Where do you see it going?
I mean, with yesterday's announcement, and yeah, of course, not a financial advice, but yesterday's announcement, pouring in that $1 billion. I mean, you have to think that's already going to excite some of the bigger players out there. And then it was at a good price for the last couple of weeks, for anybody that's doing TA, and that's a good buy-in point. Some people see it fall, and your retail investors get a little nervous sometimes, right? And we're like, man, did we mess up? But then those things just kind of skyrocket. So I think Binance has they're going to have an interesting year, and the platform that they have is showing that it's strong.
And I just read, I don't know if you read this one, but Ripple just announced $44 million fund for solar energy projects in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
They teamed up with Nelnet Renewable Energy Fund. So that's going to be pretty impressive for them to actually do that. I can't see the U.S. government fighting that too hard with Ripple taking that on.
Ripple's gonna they have some good times ahead. I think them taking on the solar energy just shows that they're going to be caring about the energy and the mass consumption that people put behind mining. Everybody hears about mining and just automatically thinks, hey, like they're consuming a lot of energy to do this. So I think any of the companies that's stepping up right now to go ahead and take that initiative and put in a program into place that could work for their future, it's going to just show well for them in the future as well.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
And then I seen some other things with we talked about a little bit about Polkadot yesterday. I had seen today that they announced that the Polkadot and the Kusama bridge would be ready by the end of the year. So that's going to be very interesting, because a lot of things that I think have been holding Polkadot back from skyrocketing was nobody was able to use the platform. But with them using the Kasama as the brother and making sure programmers are going to run effectively on there, and now they're going to tie that bridge, it'll open up for some parachains, and could be good times ahead for Polkadot as well.
That's going to be interesting to watch that happen. And it just says here, I'm reading some business news. Bank of England says crypto has grown to twice the size of the subprime debt in 2008. I mean, that's just another, I don't know what to say about that. Like, I agree, there's a lot of money in cryptocurrency, but it's for the right reason. I kind of get a kick out of the banks saying stuff like that. It's just like that little nudge or push to say, hey, don't forget about us. But I mean, if the banks aren't going to evolutionize themselves along with crypto, we're definitely going to see that change.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're just using some of the same FUD that they kind of had when they were, back in the day, probably when banking started. People were probably saying the same thing about them, and they're like, you remember when people used to say this about the banks? And that was probably a long time ago. But yeah, I think that the crypto market is the whole entire market cap as a whole is growing. As I'm looking at it right now, over the last 7 days, it's been consolidating pretty good. Between the 2.28 and the 2.34 trillion dollar market cap. Bitcoin dominance has been up and down in the same in those days between 47 and 42%. And then the Ethereum dominance has dropped down to around 17% today. So that's going to be something interesting to see. And over the last 24 hours, the market has been picking back up. So we're around 2.34 trillion right now. So I think as the market cap continues to grow, we'll see some of the altcoins pick back up and maybe Ethereum gain some of their dominance back.
Yeah, I'm wondering about Ethereum. Like, as more people use it for NFTs and stuff, and the gas fees being so high, I'm just wondering what's going to be the dominant token that might overcome Ethereum. I just have this gut feeling that there's going to be a power move sooner or later, and we might see. I don't see Ethereum pricing drop a huge amount, but in the end, I'm wondering if there's going to be one chain in particular that might start making a bigger impact than what Ethereum is right now.
I think, yeah, I mean, you're always going to have an asset that outperforms another asset, right? Because I mean, that's the competition of it all. So there will be something, of course, or Ethereum could do a fork and get their thing right. But as the crypto space evolves over time, you're going to see, different forms of parachain, different forms of bridges, different inoperable blockchains that make it possible for these things to coexist together. So you are going to have some bigger and better players and things that move forward. And I don't think it'll be one in particular. I think that they'll move together. Some of the bigger players who have their technology ready. I mean, it's really just a merger at that point, because a lot of them do have interoperable blockchains already. So it'll get interesting, man. I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm excited this week. Let's see these altcoins start to do some real moves.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting market this next week. So, and I'm excited again to talk to you again tomorrow, Vibin, about the news and what's happening. It's always fun and interesting and makes me wonder what I'm going to deep into next. So,
no problem, bro. Again, we appreciate everyone coming out today. This is Crypto News with Chris Vibin and Scott Tripp. We appreciate you guys coming by, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Have a great day, you guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Peace.